fresh off of his victory and fresh off of Porter's defeat, Devin and Porter have more interaction. Let's talk.
I'm on record for saying that Devin didn't want this fight in the first place. I don't think that they did.
Why is this such a thing with Sean Porter and Devin Haney? What did Devin do to Sean Porter? And what the hell are you wearing? This man has on a dookie green sweater, a sweatshirt, a gray bluish plaid jacket, tan pants, high waters, with Dave Chappelle doodly-doo boots. I can't make this up if I try. This is the absolute worst dresser in human history. There is absolutely nobody that dresses worse than this dude. No one on earth. And someone probably gives him that and tells him that it's hot fire. This is the absolute worst dressed human being that I have ever seen. But anyways, he has got this thing against Devin that I am unsure what it is. And the only conclusion that I can come up with is that he's upset that Devin and Bill did more as a father and son than him and Kenny. That is the only thing I can come up with. The only envious and jealousness that I can come up with is that a father and son, a black father and son duo, did more in the sport of boxing than this guy did with his father. That's all there is. There is nothing left for this man to hate on. I've been on record letting everybody know that they didn't want this fight. Well, what does your record matter, bro? This is the most hatingest dude I've ever listened to, ever, bro. I don't even like listen to this dude. People send me this stuff. But let's continue.
I'm hearing that it was on record, that he was on the list.
You're hearing that he was on a list. You're hearing that he was on a list. You hate Devin so much. You know everything about Devin. You hate him that much. You know good and damn well that this list that they put out on May 21st of this year had Brian Norman on it as number 5. You know good and damn well what was going on. You know good and damn well. Now you want to play stupid. I'm hearing on the list. I'm hearing on the list. Hearing on the list. You know good and damn well he was on that list. You know good and damn well Devin was trying to fight Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia ducked, so they dropped him to number 10. You know good and damn well he was trying to fight Teofimo Lopez. You know good and damn well Mike Coppinger came out and said Devin accepted everything. This is 100% on Teofimo Lopez. You know good and damn well what this list was. You know good and damn well that he was trying to fight Shakur, trying to fight Tank, went to fight Boots, and Boots told him 152. And Brian Norman was just next. You know good and damn well. But listen to what he said.
That Brian Norman was on the list. Can't imagine he was number 1 on the list, but this ended up being a fight.
Of course he wasn't number 1 on the list, you coon. You weird-ass Sambo. You goofy-ass nigga. You hating-ass nigga. Of course he wasn't number 1. The number 1 on his list was a rematch with Ryan Garcia. That was the number 1. That was the number 1, the rematch with Ryan Garcia. The list is out there for everybody to see. Anybody can look at this. The list was all over the place. It wasn't just in hiding. They didn't just put this, oh, well, you know, let's not talk about this. Everybody be quiet. Let's not bring up this list now. Everybody got to be quiet. Oh, I don't want to talk about this list. The last thing we want to do is let people on the list know they're on the list. Man, this was the whole entire planet knew what this list was. But yet, Sean Porter and his whack-ass outfits is the only one on God's green earth that didn't know about this. But you knew everything else about Devin. Yeah, all right, buddy.
I felt like this was the smoke and the mirrors effect when it was first announced, and we want this who we want. And I think that when it first started to happen, this isn't what they wanted first.
It's not they wanted first. Ryan Garcia is what they wanted first. Teofimo Lopez, who wanted to fight Boots, is what they wanted first. Second was Shakur Stevenson. Third was Gervonta Davis. Fourth was Jaron Boots Ennis. Fifth is Brian Norman. They could not get Ryan Garcia because Ryan Garcia ducked, which is why they dropped him down to number 10. Ryan Garcia faked an injury, pulled out of the fight, then ducked Broly Romero, whole of the story. Teofimo Lopez ducked, got everything he wanted, and then claimed, well, I was only going to move up to fight Boots because of the lineal belt. Shakur Stevenson is fighting Teofimo Lopez. Gervonta Tank Davis is fighting hoes in a strip club. Jaron Boots Ennis wanted 152-pound weight. Well, actually, Eddie Hearn, to be honest, but whatever. Brian Norman was next. That's it.
Yeah.
Not to say we don't want this.
Yeah.
This ain't just what we want first.
Yeah.
Why would he want Brian Norman first? What would be the point of wanting Brian Norman first? They have no history. They have no nothing. Nothing. Teofimo Lopez and Devin have history. Ryan Garcia cheated Devin, who was number one. They have history. Shakur Stevenson and Devin have history. Gervonta Tank Davis and Devin have history. Jaron Boots Ennis was the baddest man at 147. That's who Devin went. The first one he wanted was Jaron Boots Ennis. Why would he take the second guy first? He went after the number one guy first. You Sambo-ass coon. He went after the number one guy. He went after the number two guy at welterweight second. He went after the number one guy first and the number two guy second, in the exact order that he was supposed to. Why would he go after the number two guy first and not the number one guy? So that you guys can say, he's going after Brian Norman. Why won't he go after Boots? Because Boots is not what he wants. He's scared of Jaron Boots Ennis. We all know what's going to happen. We all know his daddy know why he won't go after the number one guy. Why go after the number two guy? What did Brian Norman do to deserve Devin Haney? Why not go after Jaron Ennis? You know that's what these guys would have said. He would have said that. Because he's a hater. For no reason hating.
We eventually want to get there, but we want to hype this thing up. We want to do this. We want to do that.
Hype it up? What did they do to hype it up? Hype up what, Sean? What did they hype up? What did they hype up? Went up to Ryan Garcia has nothing to do with Brian Norman. Went up to Teofimo Lopez has nothing to do with Brian Norman. Even sprinkled in Richard Hitchens has nothing to do with Brian Norman. Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis have nothing to do with Brian Norman. Went up to Jaron Boots Ennis, nothing to do with Brian Norman. Brian Norman was just next. Hype up what? How are you hyping up Brian Norman by going after other fighters? That doesn't hype up Brian Norman. Doesn't do anything for Brian Norman. Doesn't make him known. Doesn't make him relevant. Doesn't do anything. What is this dude talking about?
Right. And it ended up having to be the first fight for him. Mm-hmm. It's probably best that they got him now than they got him later.
Wow. So now it's best that Devin got him now than later. When you spent this entire time talking about Devin don't want the fight because he's basically scared of Brian Norman. And they're trying to get out of the fight. They're going to do everything to get out of the fight. But now you're saying it's glad that they got him now. The hate that this weird-ass Sambo has is diabolical. It is diabolical. Absolute insanity. The hate that this weird-ass dude has is crazy to me. Like I told you, I know where it comes from. Because him and Kenny could never and did never do what Devin and Bill did, what Devin and Bill accomplished. They could never accomplish it. They did never accomplish it. They failed at trying. And Bill and Devin have done it and lapped this man. Lapped him. Not only were they undisputed at 35, they lapped this man. Now that they fought at 40, became a champion there. Now they fought at 47 and became a champion there. How many weight classes has Sean Porter been a champion at? Not as many as Devin.
That is true.
Yeah, I still I like Norman. Looking awesome dude to deal with, and then fun fighter to watch.
Let me explain something before we move forward. With Shushu and Tiger talking about that is true. Yeah, better. As glad they got him now. Devin could fight this man 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and it will be the exact same outcome because he's better than him. Just like Floyd Mayweather could fight Canelo Alvarez at any time and he would beat him because he's better than him. Just like Floyd could fight Pacquiao at any time and he would beat him because he's better than him. And just like Errol Spence would fight Sean Porter at any time and beat him because he's better than him. At any time. Anytime. Because he's better.
Only concern for him long term. Some of the skill stuff to an extent can be smoothed out and work.
They say some of the skill stuff to an extent. Why weren't they mentioning the skill stuff before this fight? Sean, why wasn't Shaggy Z mentioning the skill stuff that Brian Norman does not have before this fight? You guys were worried too much about the late Victor Conte, rest in peace. Y'all spent your time crapping this man, talking about Snack, disrespecting this man. And Vada. But now Shaggy Z is talking about Brian Norman's skill set or lack thereof. But you weren't talking about this skill set or lack thereof before the fight. Huh?
On for sure. It's the chin. It's the punch resistance.
Oh, so now Brian Norman, who's got dropped twice against Boca Chica and Devin Haney, now is chinny. He's now chinny. Wow. He's now chinny. So Devin gets dropped 3 times in one fight, and y'all say he can't punch. I mean, he can't. He's chinny. He don't got no chin, no punch resistance. He's going against a big puncher in Brian Norman, a dude who's knocking people's minds out, knocking them senseless. He's going to get knocked out because he can't take a punch. Devin gets hit multiple times in this fight. But because his skill gap is so much wider, now all of a sudden Devin's got a chin now and Brian Norman doesn't. No, Devin is just better than Brian Norman, and Devin's always had a chin. He was fighting a drug cheat of which you guys will never acknowledge. A dude who outweighed this man by at least 20 pounds. Ryan Garcia was gigantic and on drugs. And you guys don't give a damn about that at all because you just hate Devin Haney. So you're just finding new ways to hate this man. And then your subliminal hate, now you want to talk about Brian Norman, the guy y'all praised and glazed all this time. Now all of a sudden Brian Norman's chinny. Huh.
And that's not take away from Haney's power because Haney's power looked good. And we always knew Haney was a welterweight in his youth.
Oh, now we always knew. Like Haney's power was good. And we always knew that. No, we didn't always know. No, we didn't always know. No, we didn't. Because I don't see you guys saying, oh, we always knew Terrence Crawford was a 168-pounder. We always knew that. We always knew Terrence Crawford was 168, 180 pounds. Terrence Crawford could be fighting at 175. We always knew that he was boiling down to 135. We always knew that. He could fight at 175. You never said that. But these backdoor low-key hate conversations and statements that you say about Devin, we always knew. No, we didn't always know. No, we didn't. Devin told y'all that making 140 is difficult for him in 2019. But he said the stakes was just too high and there was just so much on the line that he sacrificed to make the weight. Just like Errol Spence said when he was fighting Terrence Crawford. But y'all didn't care about that either. You didn't give Errol Spence grace at all. Never. Y'all just crapped on that man.
Boylan, you know, when you can get away with it in your early to mid 20s, getting down to 35.
Yeah.
When you can get away with it in your early and mid 20s, getting down to 35. So why isn't Brian Norman at 154 or 160? Because he's in his early to mid 20s, boiling down to 147. Hell, Devin Haney just turned 27. So he's still in his mid 20s. He just turned 27. But of course, you guys don't care about that either, but whatever.
But we always knew he was going to be a welterweight one day, and he looked good at it.
Now we all knew he was a welterweight. We all knew he was going to do that now. We all knew, says Shaggy Z. We all knew he was going to be this, and we all knew. Well, how come you're not telling Tiger Johnson? We all know he's going to be a 168-pounder. Why are you not telling Shushu, who's bigger than Tiger Johnson, right here? He's bigger than him. That Tiger Johnson, hey, Shushu, we all know you're going to fight at 160, 168. Shushu is bigger than the welterweight, and Shushu don't fight at welterweight. Sitting right here, he's bigger than Tiger Johnson. Bigger than him. Hell, they're talking about putting Shushu against Inoue. If you look at this camera right here, if you look at these guys, you would say Shushu is the welterweight, and Tiger Johnson fights at a lower weight class. If you look at this. But mysteriously, you're not telling Shushu, and we all know you're in your early to mid-20s, and you're probably going to end up at 168, 175, and you're boiling down right now because you can get away with it. I don't see him saying that at all. But why would Shaggy Z say that? Haters don't never speak about their hate. They try to cover their hate with, they sprinkle the turd with Febreze. It's still a turd.
But for Norman, that is an issue I worry about for him long term. Is you're a puncher. You're usually going to have to be the aggressor. In that kind of style, you got to be able to take a shot against others. So, but I like Brian Norman.
So mysteriously now, he don't got no chin, but y'all were praising and glazing Jin Sasaki as a puncher. You were praising and glazing Derek Cuevas and Giovanni Santillan as punchers, and y'all were agreeing with B-Rat talking about Devin Haney is not as good as Giovanni Santillan. Devin Haney is not as good as Derek Cuevas. You rate Jin Sasaki over Devin Haney. Y'all were praising and glazing B-Rat, saying all these things, but now all of a sudden, y'all worry about Brian Norman's chin. All of a sudden.
And the best thing I can say about Devin Haney, to sum that up, is I have a vote on the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
Why? Why does this dude have a vote at all? Why? Why? Now, we can debate Sean Porter having a vote, but Sean Porter is an actual boxer. So Sean Porter, I believe, should have a vote, although I don't like that dude and he's a coon. I believe only boxers should have votes. Boxers. And if it's not going to be only boxers, then it should be people who are not haters like that guy. Shaggy Z is a hater who has blatant biases. Blatant biases. There is no way that this guy should have a claim or a say to say who is a Hall of Fame fighter or not. Only people that do their research, and he is not one of them at all.
I think at 27 years old, 3 divisions, 6 world titles total, he's a Hall of Famer already at 27 years old.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I can say that.
And Sean Porter is over there hating. Dang. 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 All those accolades that Shaggy Z mentioned are everything that Sean Porter has never done. Those accolades that Shaggy Z mentioned are everything that Sambo Bradley has never done. And Sambo Bradley is in the Hall of Fame. The hate from these dudes is absolutely pathetic, and it should be studied. This is disgusting work. Disgusting work. And BFTB, and I'm out.
Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell notification for all future content.